Hello, and thank you for joining us on ABC24 This Week. I am your host, Pepper Baker. You're here for the real stories behind the big stories, and I hope you'll join us every Sunday. All right, we're trying out a little bit of a different dynamic with this panel, but of course, as always, we have ABC24 political analyst Otis Sanford. We have former Memphis City Council Chair and former Shelby County School Board member Scott McCormick, and we also have Shelby County Republican Party Vice Chair Luke Semble. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to get into it. The topics for today: Shelby County Commissioners voted to override Mayor Lee Harris's veto on aligning MSCS elections, so all 9 board seats will be on the 2026 ballot. Next, we'll talk about Shelby County Clerk Wanda Halbert pointing fingers at the mayor's office over unpaid rent and also where her ouster case stands. And then lastly, the Vice President of the United States and Charlie Kirk's widow visited Ole Miss, and it was a packed house. We'll get into that, but let's get back to number 1. In an 8-5 vote, Shelby County Commissioners decided to shake up MSCS's leadership next year. The commission voted to override Mayor Lee Harris's veto on aligning MSCS school board elections with the commission's. So that means all 9 seats will be on the 2026 ballot, which cuts the terms of 5 current board members short by 2 years. The deciding vote came down to Commissioner Mikel Lowry, who was not present on the commission's previous attempt to do so. He gave quite a speech during Monday's meeting explaining his decision.
We're doing the same things over and over again has not made us progress. When people want to talk about elections, well, I'm running, all right, but I also have children that are in our school system, and I want the best for them, which means I want the best for every child that's in our school system. So if this is going to engage more people in the process, then so be it. More people engaged talking about voting now and in school board elections than ever before. It's a good thing. Unfortunately, it's terrible how we got here.
Okay, but of course, not everybody's on board with this decision. MSCS board members spoke out about it, including Tawana Murphy, the following day after the MSCS meeting. Here's what she had to say.
This is disenfranchising the voters' rights to vote. And I don't understand why this is happening. Well, I understand why it's happening. Let me just go back and rephrase that. I understand why it's happening, but we shouldn't be at this point at this time, but it just look different because it's people that look like me.
All right, so I'm going to open it up to discussion now. I love to lead it off with Otis. Did the commission make the right decision here?
No.
Wow.
They did not make the right decision. I've said before, and I'll say again, the school board made a mistake by ousting Dr. Marie Fakins the way they did it. It was wrong. I've been saying that for well over a year. But there is no need in this, in my opinion, to shorten the terms of elected school board members who ran for 4 years because you don't like one decision that they made. We're not talking about criminal activity. We're not talking about malfeasance, really. We are talking about a vote that most people, well, a lot of people didn't like, including me. But if we're going to start shortening the terms of duly elected officials, then I've got some others we ought to shorten. Let's shorten the governor. Let's shorten some state legislators. Let's shorten the U.S. Senate if you don't like the decisions that they make. We're just creating a dangerous precedent here. That's why I think they made a bad decision.
Yes, I want to toss it over to Scott now, since you are a former city council member. The commission making this vote, what does this say about the governing bodies?
Well, I think that shortening the terms is kind of, it's not really a good argument. I don't think it was, this decision was made specifically for the vote on Fakins. I think the main thing is we need to change the school board, and we need to, and the premise behind putting all the school board members together would be that it would be on a ballot where a larger vote out would take place, and hopefully more participation, more people would pay attention to who's running for school board. But I want to point out, when the Memphis City Schools in 2010, when they voted to give up their charter, they chose to shorten their terms. All of them were duly elected and had not fulfilled their 4 years. And how many times have elected officials, and I've done this, shorten their own term to go to another opportunity. So if elected officials can choose on their own to shorten their terms, I don't see why the county commission couldn't make this decision.
And Luke, what do you have to say about Otis's point about higher-ups needing the same standard as well?
Well, look, the higher-ups right now are trying to take care of a problem when you have 29% of third graders not reading at third grade reading levels. We have a problem here in our school system. Parents are crying out for help. That commission meeting, I was there. I spoke in support of overriding Mayor Lee Harris's veto. Parents were there asking for help. The room was packed. They had to quiet down the room several times, but the people are saying our school system is not serving our students, and that's who we need to focus on here. And I also want to point out this legislation that allowed the county commission to vote to shorten the terms or to put all the terms on the ballot, all the school board elections on the ballot next year. That was a bipartisan piece of legislation. It was carried by Democrat Tori Harris in the Tennessee House and Senator Brent Taylor in the Tennessee Senate. It was bipartisan. It was a bipartisan resolution from the commission the first time. Mayor Lee Harris vetoed, and it was bipartisan the second time. So I don't think this is a party issue. This is a people versus establishment, people versus protecting your friends. And we are promoting democracy by saying you get a chance to vote where more people are participating.
Well, I didn't say that it was a party issue. I never even mentioned party in my comments.
Yep.
And just because something is a bipartisan decision doesn't make it the right decision. And I just think that when you start shortening people's terms against their will, I'm not talking about what happened in 2010. You're absolutely right on that, Scott. They shorten their own terms. And people do shorten their terms when they run for another office. Mark Luttrell did that when he tried to run for Congress. So I'm not saying it's a party issue. I'm just saying that I fail to see right now how shortening the terms is going to improve the outcomes of schools right now. Help me explain that.
The leadership is, we have a failing school system right now. And so what this provides is another bite at the apple for the citizens of Shelby County, Memphis and Shelby County, to have a say in their leadership. We have a problem. 29% of third graders read at grade level. That is an unacceptable number. That is awful. That is a failure. And I think we need to do whatever it takes to support the children, support the parents who are saying, we have the Memphis Safe Task Force here, and we have an amazing opportunity to turn this city around, but we cannot do it with a failing school system.
I think a better way to say it is 71% of our school children do not read on a grade level, and that's what is appalling. And I'm just going to make a prediction. Mm-hmm. There are 5 members whose terms are getting cut short.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you at the end of the day, 5, but at least 4 are returned to office.
That was one of my questions, was
Write
just how
it
you
down.
think their campaigns will go next year.
Well, I think Scott may be right, but we haven't even talked about the specter of a lawsuit here.
Right.
There's still a possibility that litigation will happen as a result of this. Mikhail Lowry even said so in some of his comments the other day. So let's see how the courts weigh in on this first. But you may be right, although Mikhail Lowry was right about one thing. I do think this is going to create more interest in school board elections. Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and it should have, because the election that happened back in 2024, it was abysmal. Mm-hmm. The turnout was terrible, and we got who we got.
Yes, and we're going to run into overtime on this segment, but he's also running for county mayor, and this decision obviously playing to that. He's talking about more engagement. Did he make this vote almost to play in his own favor?
I mean, it didn't hurt him.
Well, except for the people who disagree.
I think the majority agreed with him. You were at the meeting. I talked to somebody else who was at the meeting, and by far the audience at the county commission meeting was in favor of the way the vote went.
I don't know how Commissioner Lowry was going to vote when he walked into the room, but I think when he saw the people in the room and the energy as somebody who is running for another office, I think he saw the writing on the wall and said, I need to support the active people who are here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he hopes that those board members don't return then if you made that vote. All right, when we come back, Shelby County Clerk Wanda Halbert's ousting case is moving forward. We're also going to talk about some claims or why she's finger pointing at the mayor as well. We'll be right back.